Hey everyone! So today I thought would be a good day to do the little introduction, I guess, to the mini series I was talking about the other day that I wanted to add to my channel with basically my husband's perspective. So coming from someone who doesn't have a mental illness of any kind themselves, being married to someone who has bipolar 1 disorder. So he's gonna kind of, every once in a while, I'll do a video with him. And if there's like a certain question maybe that you want answered or something, please feel free to reach out to me and leave your question in the comment section or send me a message on Twitter. And that'll be the focus of our next little mini session. This one is more just a general overlay of what it was like for him when I was diagnosed with bipolar, how he was kind of in denial about it at first, how my mom's stroke kind of tied into it, and how he was struggling at the time with my episodes and my all of a sudden mania coming through. So I'm going to let him take over from here, and hopefully this little mini-series will do what I hope and give people the perspective that I can't give, which is obviously from the perspective of someone without a mental illness.
Hi there, my name is Craig and I am Jackie's husband, and she has her YouTube channel Inner Strength, and today I offered myself to kind of be talking about what it's like to have a partner who suffers from a mental illness, specifically in this case bipolar, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the things that come with that. So I'm not really sure where to start. When I met Jackie, things were very different, and we went a few years without me really having to deal with any of her problems that came with her illness. I was pretty much oblivious to it, and in my entire life I would say I was pretty oblivious to mental health in general. The closest I would have came to knowing about it would be in high school. We had a program in our high school for the mentally handicapped, and back then we used to call them retards, and it was just pretty normal for people to make fun of them. The teachers didn't teach us much about them, and so we were pretty ignorant back then. So my wife's mother had her stroke, and this is when that side of her really started to manifest itself so that I could see it. So I guess what I wanted to talk about is just what you're going to have to deal with going through that with somebody you love. The first thing is they might change a little bit. They're still the person you love. It's just, they're fighting against something inside of them, and the best thing you can really do is to spend all your time and effort trying to understand them. I was like, I kind of want to tell this story in a progressing fashion, but just as stuff comes to my head, I'm just going to talk about it. And one of the biggest examples I had that was a real big wake-up call to loving Jackie and making her feel like I was actually there for her was just supporting her in situations that you would normally judge the opposite way. And an example would be this one time we were at McDonald's with our daughter, and Jackie just started getting really agitated in lineup. And back then I wasn't very, sympathetic towards how she was feeling. I was more like, you need to calm down, you need to relax, like you're making a scene, like all the wrong things to say basically, because back then I just felt like she was acting out and that she was in control. But the problem was she wasn't, and me not knowing that didn't change the fact that she wasn't in control. So when I wasn't supporting her, it would make her feel like I wasn't there for her. So what happened was she got heated enough where she started swearing, and at that point I started to get really embarrassed. I was having like selfish thoughts of embarrassment, and I just wanted her to stop. I was like, in my head, I'm like, you know, this isn't necessary. Just stop. Like, what are you doing? Lower your voice. Like, calm down. And she didn't. And she got mad and she cursed. Like, this lady had 3 young children, and she was like approaching Jackie, I guess, because she was agitated about how Jackie was acting around her 3 young children, which were probably in ages ranged from like 5 to 11 or something. I don't know. And you know, in my head, I kind of took the woman's side. I was like, oh my God, she's there with her young kids. My wife is freaking out. This is my fault. Like, you know, and I don't know. I don't know if we got into a fight about that or we ended up speaking about it later on, but, you know, it really brought to my attention the fact that I didn't have her back. I didn't have her back. I didn't have her side. I wasn't being understanding. And I wish I could go back in time and, like, show her that I was there for her in that moment, because, you know, like I said, it's a learning process. You're going to have to learn how to change yourself to better understand where all the emotions are coming from. Again, with the anger, you know, like, I don't know if it's all bipolar people but like when Jackie gets angry, she can become, you know, a little irrational or clouded minded, you know, like if something is bothering her, or like the example I just gave you, if she felt like I wasn't there for her, even though I was. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm always going to pick my wife, but it makes Jackie feel like you're not there for her. And you just really need to learn to understand that. It's like really, really important to understand how they think, because they don't think the same way you do. So we've been going through this for years now. We've been through different stages where she hasn't been on meds, she has been on meds. We went to go help. We're frustrated with the healthcare system or the doctor or whatever. So we've been through a lot of different scenarios over the years, and everything is a learning experience. But again, it seems just going back to the most valuable part of the whole learning experience is just understanding. I can't even stress that enough, how much you just need to try to understand where they're coming from. Another really big thing for me personally was not taking things personal. When a bipolar person gets angry, it's like they're going to say things they don't mean. They're going to act in a way sometimes that doesn't quite seem like themselves. And you just need to kind of like let them blow that steam off. Even if it's directed towards you, you need to understand, like, they don't really want to attack you. Maybe you're just closest to them and they want to, you know, let it all out on you because that's what makes them feel better, or that's what they're used to. Or it's just, you have to try to be patient. And if you react and you get angry yourself, or you get like really defensive, it's not going to be good for you anyway, you know what I mean? Because that's not how you win arguments with somebody who's bipolar. You're not going to escalate to their level and accomplish anything. As a matter of fact, you're just going to do damage, and you want to try to avoid that at all costs. Another thing I was going to touch on was there's an article I read recently that talked about control. A lot of times I used to feel like Jackie was trying to control me. You know, she just had so many little tedious rules around the house that just didn't make any sense to me. I was like, oh my God, why are you busting my balls? Like, really? Like, just another little thing that I gotta try to remember. But what I ended up learning is that it's not that they want to control you, it's that they're trying to protect themselves. They're trying to create an environment where there's as few triggers for them as possible. Like, Jackie's a very mindful person. She's very aware of the things that bother her, the things that set her off, the little things that I do, and she tries to voice herself about them so that you can help her eliminate a lot of those problems out of her life. So, you know, just like a little thing, if she wakes up in the morning and there's like a Coke can in the sink, you know, like it takes 2 seconds to rinse it out and put it in in a recycling bin, and it's like, you may feel like, oh, I could just drink a few Cokes and then I'll go take care of all 3 of them later or whatever. It's like, for her it could be a trap, and if you're aware of that and you can help her get rid of the trap, then she'll feel like you're there for her. She'll feel like you're listening, and you're doing something good to help her get through her day. Also learning, not to put yourself first and not to be selfish. Like, if you're living with somebody who has a mental illness and you've accepted to be with them and take care of them, you need to understand that they come first. It goes back to the example of McDonald's. Like, the way I acted with Jackie back then, it was ignorant. I didn't mean anything ill by it. But it's like, would you yell at a person with Tourette's in a grocery store if they're like, they turn around and they curse at the child all of a sudden or something? Would you turn around and be like, get a hold of yourself, what's wrong with you? Like, that's how I feel like I treated Jackie that day. Like, almost makes me want to cry. It's like when she gets the anxiety and the anger comes, it's like, it's really not her fault. So yeah, it's a big wake-up call, I guess, especially for me, knowing that I haven't really dealt with any of that in my life. And what's funny is, my mother actually suffers from severe depression, and I've learned to cope with that as well. So again, it's all a learning experience. You're not going to learn much if you're not around people who have these things, and if you don't read about it. And that's why Jackie's putting up this channel, and it's so important to reach out to people, to show them they're not alone, to show that there's people out there who understand. And I told Jackie I'd do a multi-part video series to talk about things like this that I can think of that'll maybe help somebody get through tough times with somebody they love, because I know I love my wife more than anything, and any relationship is going to go through its struggles, and sometimes they're going to be really bad, and the longer you're together with somebody, the more chances those type of things happen. And you have somebody with bipolar, it's you don't want to escalate into ridiculous fights. If you understand them, you can let them vent, and it can seem really bad at first, but the thing about Jackie is, like, once she calms down, she's gonna come talk to you. She's gonna tell you how she really feels. If she feels like you're listening, she'll come back and talk to you. You might get an apology if she felt she did something wrong. You'll have a chance to apologize if you felt you did something wrong. And they're still human beings at the end of the day, and you can always wait until they are in a better place and sit there and talk to them. So that's just the start of my advice for today. And I guess, as Jackie would say, like, subscribe, and be strong, and remember, you're never alone.